Welcome back to the Keto Naturopath Kitchen and our new YouTube channel. As I mentioned in the last video that Karl and I have separated our channels. Keto Naturopath is for educational health that Karl does, and I do the cooking, and I love cooking. So today, oh, I'm so excited about today. Today we're making cannoli cookies. Oh boy, and as I've mentioned several times, I'm Italian. I love cannolis. I absolutely love them. When I was growing up, I grew up in New Hampshire, about an hour north of Boston, and there was not a large Italian population where I lived, so we could not find a lot of the Italian ingredients. So maybe 3 or 4 times a year, Dad would drive us all into Boston to the North End. Mom would buy all her cooking utensils at someplace on, oh, I just lost the name of the street. It began with an H. Hanover Street. And then we'd go and we'd buy Italian olives and imported cheeses and cannoli. And I love them. So every year for my birthday, now this is years later, that we lived in Connecticut and lived right near Rhode Island, which has a large Italian population, and I actually was able to buy cannolis for my birthday, and I'd have a cannoli every year for my birthday. Now this is my birthday month. It's December here, and I'm in short sleeves in North Carolina, so not very Christmassy, but it's my birthday month, and I get extra keto treats during that month. I still maintain my precision PSMF, protein sparing modified fast, every week, but then on weekends and off days, I allow myself a few more keto treats. So here we go with cannoli cookies, and I'm so excited. First, I'm making a half a batch because it's just Karl and me, and how many cookies can you eat? And yes, I could eat them all, so that's the problem. So that's why I'm making a half batch. So the half batch, the recipe that we're linked to will be a full batch, but right now I'm doing a half batch. And it's called for 1/2 cup of butter softened. So here I have a 1/2 cup, which is 1 stick of butter, 8 tablespoons or 1/4 pound. And to that, I'm adding xylitol. So a 1/2 cup of xylitol, which is 97 grams. And I absolutely love butter. As you see, this is not a dairy-free recipe, and we are normally dairy-free, but you know, sometimes you just have to have dairy, and I'm a butter lover. Now you beat that till it's light and fluffy. The sugar, the xylitol and the butter mixes in and gets very fluffy. I'm just gonna, and it can go all over the place. I just try to have it not go everywhere. So this looks pretty good. I'll try whipping it a little more to make sure the xylitol is incorporated. And to that, we're going to add 1 egg and mix that in. There, that's nice and fluffy. And yes, this is where a spatula would come in handy. I just didn't get my spatula out. Now to that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of ricotta cheese, or as my mother used to say, a ricotta. And I love ricotta cheese. And we're going to mix that in really well. Now we're going to add, now I have to put my glasses on, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And you can omit the cinnamon. I don't really remember having cinnamon in my cannoli. We're going to beat this again. Next, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And a pinch of salt. We're going to mix this one more time. And now we're going to add a cup of pork rind flour. And that is about 100 grams of pork rind flour. And we'll just mix it in well. I suppose you could use almond flour if you want. I try not to use a lot of nut flours. And this recipe is something that's adapted from a non-keto recipe, so it just had flour. I made a few other changes. So mix it really well. So this is what it looks like. And now we're going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator for about an hour, at least an hour. So I'll cover it, refrigerate it, and I'll see you back in an hour. So the dough has been in the refrigerator for, actually it's been more than an hour because I had things to do. So it's been in the refrigerator, and now we're going to scoop it out and bake it. And I have this is 1½ tablespoon cookie scoop, and we're going to be using that. And I still use my hands because I make sure the dough is all pressed down. I haven't mastered my cookie scoop yet. Well, that's all I can fit on this pan. So I don't have much dough left, but this 12 cookies, I'm going to put it in a 375-degree oven for 8 to 11 minutes. So I'm going to put these in for 8 minutes, check them out, and see if they're cooked, and cook them longer if they have to be. Then I'm going to take them out for a minute, and we'll be back. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So these baked actually for 11 minutes, just until they start to get golden brown on the edges. I took them out and let them cool in the pan for 5 minutes, and now I'm going to transfer them here and let them cool completely. They're very, very delicate, so I've had to use my spatula and then my cookie spatula and take them off so that they don't break. Because if I just use the spatula, they're going to break. The cookie spatula was just not big enough. So let them cool completely. However, I have never been one to let my cookies cool completely before I try them. Nice and buttery. They're absolutely delicious. I'm sure they'll taste that butter. Yum. These are delicious and well worth the effort to make them. Be careful with them. Don't overbake them. Cool them completely. Share them with a little cup of coffee, and you're going to love it.